Hey everybody, this is Nathan Lehman at the Ultra Running Company in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I appreciate you showing up for this week's shoe review. We're going to jump right in with the Hoka One One Mach 4. So let's jump right at it. In the Ultra Running Company's parlance, the Mach 4 is a comfort cushioned, low drop road running shoe. What does that mean? Well, it means first that you're going to use this mostly on the road, and we'll talk about that with the tread in a minute. But the low drop portion refers to the actual amount of cushion underneath your foot. And for those of you that have watched our videos before, you know that that we refer to that as the stack height. And we look at two different places. First is in the heel of the shoe, and next is right underneath the ball of your foot, kind of where the knuckle of your foot bends. That's really where you want to measure there. But in front of that is really the rocker portion of the shoe. So what you're measuring is the distance between your foot and the ground. And so we call this a comfort cushion shoe because Hoka advertises the Mach 4 as having 24 millimeters of cushion under the forefoot and 29 millimeters of cushion under the heel. That means there's a 5 millimeter, what we call the drop. So a 5 millimeter drop falls right into that kind of 3 to 6 millimeters of where we consider a low cushion shoe. A higher cushion shoe would have a bigger heel, and a more natural shoe would land you a little bit flatter right across, more like you were barefoot with cushion under you. So low drop for the shoe. Now the comfort cushion refers to that overall amount of stack height, that 24 millimeters that goes the whole way. Now here's the thing, we always look at a size 13 because that's what I am, and a lot of the manufacturers have started putting a little bit more or less cushion in the shoe as they make them longer. And so either because of that or because our actual production model came out a little bit different than the specs that Hoka measured on their survey shoes, we actually measured this shoe as having 25 millimeters under the forefoot and 31.8, almost 32 millimeters under the heel. That is a lot of cushion. For those of you keeping track, the Mach 3 had 5 millimeters less under that, and this 32 millimeters of cushion under the heel puts this right in the category of the Hoka Clifton, which is one of Hoka's most cushioned shoes. So we're really going to talk a little bit about how this differs from the feel of something like the Clifton or the Rincon in a second. But one of the piece is we tend to measure our stack height without the insole. Typically insoles are about 4 millimeters front and back. They just slide right in. We do that because some people like to put in an aftermarket insole, and it also gives us some consistency across brands. But in this case, we actually measured this insole as having about a millimeter more in the heel than it does in the forefoot. 4.2 millimeters in the forefoot and 4.8 in the heel. So when you take that together, you're talking 36 to 37 millimeters of cushion under the heel, and that's a lot of cushion. That's kind of Hoka-esque cushion. So this definitely falls in that comfort cushion category, as I mentioned. What is that cushion made up of? Well, here's where this shoe differentiates itself from something like the Clifton. The Clifton is one type of compressed EVA throughout the entire shoe. That means that they take a big block of rubber, they kind of squeeze it down into shape and carve it into into this rocker form that Hoka is so well known for. In this shoe, basically they have that same compressed EVA, but they also have a second layer of more springy material on the bottom. So the differentiator between the Mach, unlike before where the Mach was their firmer shoe that was kind of a go fast with less cushion than the Clifton, now the Mach has as much cushion as the Clifton, but it feels very different. You're getting that softer, pillowy cushion on the top, just like the Clifton, but then on the bottom you're getting a very springy bit of rubber, and it really feels as it's popping you off a bit more. Not that old sink-in feeling for the Hoka. The Mach 4 really gives you that nice spring that they're looking for. They call call some of this technology ProFly, and what their ProFly, I bring it up only because ProFly has changed a little bit over the years. It used to be softer in the heel and firmer in the forefoot. Now it really looks like they're going firmer underneath with softer on top for that feel. So what does that get you? It gets you, we call it a step in. When you first put this shoe on, you're gonna put your foot in. It's almost gonna feel like memory foam under your foot. That's probably the insole, but it sticks around throughout the run, which leads me to believe you're getting a little bit more out of the actual first layer of cushion as well. As soon as that compresses a millimeter or so, you get a real pop from this bottom layer of cushion, this much lighter layer, the white layer on this shoe, and it really springs you off. So really kudos to them on getting a shoe that gets you kind of the comfort, that initial feel of a typical Hoka feel, that pillowy softness, and then gets you the springiness that makes you feel like you're not losing any energy at all. You're really just sinking in and it's popping right back out for you. Let's look at the bottom of the shoe. The entire bottom of this shoe is this second generation type rubber. It's kind of a mix of EVA and the old dark carbon rubber that they had on the bottom, which makes the entire bottom of the shoe relatively long wearing. When you have that, what you're gonna see almost immediately is some initial wear right off the top. Some of these cosmetic dimples are gonna go away within just a couple of miles, but the shoe itself will last quite a long time. So on this, don't be worried if you start to wear off in some of your high scrub areas, whether it's the midfoot, if you do land on your heel back here, the shoe's gonna hold up for a long time. That's the intention with this type of blended rubber on the bottom. One thing I did notice, it could just be me, but the way that the flex of this shoe works, if you are running on something that has some stones in it, every once in a while you will get a stone stuck in here. It's more of an annoyance. It'll come out after a few steps or if you stop to take it out. But we do see that every once in a while on a shoe that has a thicker top layer and then some gaps to give it flexibility. And I do see that on this shoe. So that pretty much sums up the feel of the bottom of the shoe. As we move up to this top mesh part, what we call the upper, Hoka's really nailed it on this shoe. For my foot shape, and I always differentiate between my foot shape and others, this shoe does a perfect job of doing what I ask a shoe to do, which is lock me in the heel, give me good structure over the instep, and then give me lots of room for my toes to move around. I really want them to be able to kind of wiggle as I go so that they're pushing down, they're spreading out, they're giving me all the leverage and the power that I need. When I lace this shoe up, my first step in, I feel nice and secure under this heel. We'll talk about that in a second. Feel nice and secure under the heel. I feel like it really wants to hug my foot. And then when I lace it up, nothing special about these lace patterns, really traditional kind of just tie in here. I pull it in and it locks my foot in place. So really nice work on this. It's about the same type of material, this mesh that they're using. It's about the same as prior shoes that Hoka's come out with, but for some reason, it feels a little more supple and it really curls around your foot for a nice shape. Locks you in, but allows you to move at the top. One other note here, because it does seem to be a thing that Hoka really goes back and forth on, the tongue of this shoe is kind of a mix between their really pillowy tongues and their almost sharp, the bonded type tongues where it comes to a sharp point. This one's a middle amount of cushion throughout, but what you can see here is it's really sewn in and it fits really well over the top of my instep. So it's not rubbing, it's not chafing or anything like that. I think this is the sweet spot for Hoka on tongues, and I hope they'll use this design more often as they go forward. Last thing is it's got this little piece here, holds it in, so you're not gonna have to worry about your tongue going back and forth on it. Which brings us back to this piece. The kind of elf wing on this was introduced a couple of shoes ago. The Clifton has it, the Clifton Edge has it, the Carbon X has it. Generally speaking, the plus side to this is that it gives you a little bit of space for your Achilles right here. Your foot goes in, it's got some interior cushioning that holds your heel in place, and then your Achilles comes right out and it doesn't have the pressure that you get on a lot of shoes that really dig in a little bit. Hoka says it's easy to pull it on there. Once again, I've personally never had any problem pulling my shoes on, so I appreciate their ingenuity, but I think for that purpose, this is just another way to skin the cat. But as far as fit goes, this really does allow me to run. I don't have to use the runner's, the lock loop on it at all. I put my foot in, tie my shoe, and go and have a great time. Nice little feature on the outside. On all of the Machs, what you're gonna see is this stripe across here. On every style, that's a reflective stripe. I really appreciate that as someone that runs at night. You're gonna be seen in this shoe, so kudos to them for that. It's not something I've seen advertised, but it's something I really, really do appreciate. So finally, what do you do with this shoe? Where do you use it? Well, it's a light shoe, so I'm going to use it for my faster runs. I'm going to use it for longer runs where I don't want to feel weighed down at the end. Hoka advertises the women's shoe in a size 7 as 6.8 ounces. The men's shoe in a size 9 they advertise as 8.6 ounces. Both of those are very light, under the 10 ounce, kind of this magical 10 ounce level. But the amazing thing is that in my size 13 flippers, I'm in at 9.9 ounces. And so 9.9 ounces keeps me under that 10 ounce barrier and gives me 36 millimeters of cushion underneath my foot. So I've worn this for short up speed work, and I've also used this for runs 10, 15 miles. You can probably do a lot more in it. What we find is it's very consistent throughout. What it feels like on your first mile, what it feels like when you put it on in the store is going to be what it feels like at mile 10, 15, and beyond. So really kudos, shout out to them for kind of messing around with their formula a bit over the last year, and we think really bringing it home with the Mach 4. For those of you, one final note, that have used the Mach in the past, that maybe migrated from the Clayton to the Clayton 2 to the Mach 2, Mach 3, try not to compare this shoe to any of those shoes. This is not an iteration on the Mach. This is a complete redesign. And we think as a speedy alternative to the Clifton, it's a real winner. So the shoe costs $130. That's down from $140. And that just makes it more appealing to us. We think it's gonna last quite a while with this decent amount of long wearing rubber. If I were to guess, if an average shoe is gonna last me 350 to 400 miles, this is right at that 400-mile mark in my mind, although we have not worn it out yet. We've put some miles on it and it does not seem to be wearing quickly. So I'm really comfortable saying that you'll have this at $130 for quite a long time. Really good dollar for dollar buy, and we hope you'll check it out. One other shoe we'll probably get a lot of questions about in comparison to the Mach 4 is the Hoka Carbon X2, which is in fact a really similar shoe. Basically what you're getting with the Carbon X2 is a little bit more cushion on it and a carbon plate running throughout, which accentuates that roll a little bit more. Now, we don't think that the roll in the Carbon X2 is nearly as defined as the roll in the Carbon X, but what we do think is that with that carbon plate, with the extra $50, you're gonna wanna choose between one or the other. We think of the Carbon X2 as more of a long race day shoe. This shoe is certainly capable of running long race day runs, but it doesn't have that very pronounced roll off of it that the Carbon X2 will. So for 50 bucks more, you're making a financial decision on it. The life will, I expect, to be about the same, or maybe even a little bit better with this, because this shoe weighs a tiny bit more, leading me to believe that they've made the rubber weigh a bit more as well. So we hope you'll check out our other videos. We hope you'll comment on them, ask questions as you can. We will try and get back to those. And we hope you'll subscribe to the channel, because apparently that gets us more viewers, and more viewers means that we get to share our information with a lot of other people. So thank you very much. We look forward to talking to you again soon. Learn to love to run.